I'm waiting for your block. Add it for today or add it for Monday?
We can add it today. It's even better if we can add it today.
All right, I'll ask. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready to start?
We're ready.
All right. Okay. If we could stand, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we're ready. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the May 7th, 2015 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, also representing District 2. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller, representing District 1. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Bob Archer, representing District 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, before we begin, I understand that there's been a request to add an item to the agenda. I would start by saying this is not the usual practice of the County Commission to add items at the last minute. However, sometimes that is due to the time-sensitive nature, due to emergencies that might exist. From time to time, we may need to add items at the last minute. And I understand that there is a request to add an item to today's agenda to be under item new business, C, it would be 4, and it is to be for the, if I can actually, to the exact memorandum, request to waive purchasing resolution requirements and negotiation for Tiger Grant Application Development Services. And this will be for the Public Works Department regarding the Willard Bridge. And there's a motion to add item C4. Motion by Commissioner Cook to add, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. The item is added. Our first item.
Consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Archer to approve the consent agenda as presented. It's been seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Consent agenda is approved. Next item.
New business, A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
There are vouchers totaling $740,153.57. And of interest are 5 pages of juror pay that add up to $20,469.55 for district court. Payroll, state Kansas income tax withholding. Under pooled cash, $54,163.67. And then 2 projects, one for solid waste and one for 57th Street. The first one, $45,000. I didn't get all of that one. $43,690.74 for Claver Construction for 57th Street. But I have no further questions. They've all been answered, so move approval.
There's been a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed, the motion passes 3-0. Next item.
Number 2, consider correction orders.
I'll make a motion to approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes 3-0. Next item.
Item B, Kansas Expo Center, number 1, consider approval of request to award bids for the replacement of retractable aluminum risers in Land and Arena to Irwin Seating Company in an amount of $448,831, and authorization to enter into negotiations to ensure proper manufacture and installation.
Good morning, Commissioners. H.R. Cook, General Manager, Kansas Expo Center. A few months ago, we came to you in a request to go out to bid for retractable risers. These are the risers in the Land and Arena that have been there since the building's been built. We've been having some breakdowns with these risers, some safety issues. We asked to have those replaced, and this funding will be coming through the 2015 COP. We had two bidders come in, Stage Right Corporation and Irwin Seating Company, both national firms, both work very closely with SMG. We budgeted $500,000 for these, for the risers and the seating sections, and Irwin came in a little over $50,000 under budget. It does state in the memorandum and on the commission agenda that there be further negotiations regarding installation. This is just discussion of when they would be installed. There's no further cost unless there's a change order that we don't know about regarding manufacturing. But the only other cost that we're going to incur is the removal of the existing risers when time comes to replace those. We're looking to have these manufactured this summer and hopefully installed by September.
Are there any questions regarding this item? Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, HR, part of the half-cent sales tax that was passed last November was to dedicate money to the Expo Center and updating the Expo Center. And I know we've talked about this as being a safety issue, but does the new equipment, does that fit in well? Is that integrated well with whatever plans we might come up with as far as going forward?
Yes, Commissioner Archer, that it does integrate perfectly. Actually, the risers were part of the original project to be replaced. It's just we don't know when the renovations are going to begin, and due to the safety issues, we had to do it now. But we were, these would remain in place during renovations, and they fit in perfectly with our plans.
HR, again, the reason why we put this item on now instead of waiting for the negotiation of the interlocal and the receipt of the new sales tax. You talked about when we originally went out for bid and we added this on to this, the certificate of participation, some events that had occurred where the risers did not function properly. Can you detail that again for us?
Sure.
Just to refresh.
These risers, if you're act just like you were in high school, the high school bleachers that are pushed in and pulled out, because they're much heavier, they're aluminum, steel, they don't have seats on them. They're motorized. They retract and come out about 12 to 24 times a year. And through the years, metal tweaks, the motors, aren't working quite right, and they'll get jammed up. And sometimes we'll have to send employees behind the bleachers to loosen them up or get them unjammed. And if they're not locked in place correctly when they're expanded, then the risers themselves aren't really supported by the support structure. So we can't utilize those sections. So high school, we had that incident during high school basketball and a couple other ticketed shows where we just couldn't use those sections because we couldn't get them locked into place. So instead of waiting for more sections to break down, we've talked to the manufacturers and they said there's really, they stopped supporting these bleachers 15 years ago. So now would be the time, just from a safety standpoint, both for employees and patrons, to replace them.
Any other questions regarding this item? Now, the cost for the removal, that's yet to be determined. You'll bring that back to us at a later time?
Yes, it's to be determined. There's a lot of metal that's involved, so we've got the cost of the value of the scrap metal. We're going to do proposals across the board, and we'll still fall way within budget of this project.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested expenditure.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you
Very much. Next item.
Item C, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to award bids for the purchase of one roll-off solid waste truck to Armor Equipment in the amount of $137,976, including trade-in, and for 5 rear-load trucks to Truck Component Service for $697,625, including trade-ins, for a total amount for all 6 vehicles of $835,421 to be paid through the Solid Waste Fund with no tax funds being expended.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. As mentioned, this is a solid waste item, and we did go out for bids for the vehicles listed. We received several bids from several different vendors, and some vendors supplied more than one bid. After reviewing the bids and reviewing their proposed bids with the specifications, It is our recommendation and believe the best bid meeting the specifications for the 5 rear load trucks is to Truck Component Services, who actually had the low bid on all the different, they bid on several different types of vehicles, different manufacturers of vehicles, and they were low bid on every type of vehicle. But we believe the best bid was to Truck Component Services for the amount of $697,625 for the rear loaders. And then on the one roll-off vehicle, the best bid in the one meeting all the specifications was from Armor Equipment for a total of $137,796. And as mentioned, the total then is $835,421, and the estimated cost and the budget for these items was $865,000. So we came in less than what we had thought. So it's our recommendation that we award the bid to those 2 companies. And again, as mentioned, this is coming from the Solid Waste Fund, which is an enterprise fund, so there'll be no tax dollars required for this purchase. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, have we done business with Armor Equipment or Truck Component Services in the past?
I can't say that we have. Mike, have we?
We've worked with Armor Equipment and Truck Services, this renewal since.
Okay, we have worked with Armor before, but our understanding is we have not worked with Truck Component Services.
Okay.
But they are just like another rep for the different companies.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding this expenditure? Okay. Is there a motion?
Move approval according to the memo.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Bueller for approval per the memorandum.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes 3-0. Next item.
Number 2, consider approval of change order number 2, final, to contract C-100-2015 with Senny Company, Inc., in an amount of $8,440 for additional work, including the structural steel cross bracing and fabrication and installation of a 4-foot wide steel stairway for the elevated mezzanine storage unit for the Solid Waste Department, to be paid through Solid Waste Fund with no tax funds being expended.
Commissioners, Tom Block again, Public Works and Solid Waste. This too is a solid waste item. And I'll give you a little background of how we came to this change order. When we originally had the mezzanine designed, there is an existing mezzanine that we were to connect to on the shorter one on the near the Public Works side. And our thought was by connecting to that little short mezzanine, the stability in the structure would be sufficient. As we connected to that short mezzanine, there still was a little bit of sway in the overall due to the length of the I guess the new combined mezzanine. So we had to add some bracing to eliminate that sway of the structure. Then also on regarding the stairways or stairway, there was a short stairway on the existing portion, and it's just really not conducive after we got it constructed. It's really not conducive to have the one stairway on the far end, where we have to do a lot of moving of tires, larger tires and things like that. So we're wanting to put a stairway in, which will actually benefit us in the fact that it will save us even a little bit more room, which will give us enough space to add another workspace for another vehicle, which will actually end up keeping our mechanics even more utilized with more workspace. So granted, I'm not thrilled that we've gone about it this way, but that's how we got here. And so is our recommendation that this be approved.
Any other questions regarding this item?
Motion to approve the change order.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the change
Second.
order, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0.
And if I could make one comment again, that's the Solid Waste Department Enterprise Fund, no tax funds required.
Absolutely.
I'll say every time.
But customers pay for it. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Customers are paying for
it's not free, it's not
No, it's
money,
not
there's
free.
not a money tree out there. So I need to clarify that sometime.
If there is, you gotta share.
Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Chair.
Next item.
Number 3, consider approval of resolution number 2015-38, authorizing the placement and maintenance of temporary no parking signs for the Sherwood Lake Club's annual 4th of July activities.
Commissioners, this is the annual request that we received from the Sherwood Lake Club. Each 4th of July, they have activities out in their area, and one of them is they have a parade in the area, so they like to have temporary no parking signs to keep it as safe as possible for the folks visiting during that time. So this is their request to put up the temporary no parking signs. There is a fee that's charged by Mather Flair for some barricades. They pay that fee, and they've submitted their check for that fee. So it is our recommendation that this resolution be approved, and we will assist, or we will help with the no parking signs up for that period.
Any questions regarding this?
Motion to approve the resolution.
And second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Number 4, consider request to waive purchasing resolution requirements and negotiate for Tiger Grant Application Development Services.
Commissioners, again, I appreciate you adding this to the agenda. This is in follow-up to some previous discussions we've had regarding the thought about potentially going out for applying for what's called Tiger Grant funds, which is the federal funding program for significant infrastructure projects. We would like to submit an application to the United States Department of Transportation for these Tiger Grant funds to be utilized for the potential reconstruction of the Willard Bridge. The deadline for this is June 5th. This is quite a significant effort to write one of these applications. So we do not believe we have the staff nor the knowledge in-house to do this on our own. So we would like to solicit firms to assist us in that effort. My recommendation is that myself and Ms. Greiner and either Mr. Eckert or someone from his office get together, search out firms, essentially do phone interviews, and make basically a quick call on who we would like to utilize for these services. Having never done one of these, I am not real positive on where we would land as far as cost, but I'm estimating it being anywhere from 15 up as high up to 50,000. I don't think it'll go that high, but I just want to give you, I just honestly don't have a good feel at this point. Our intent of funding for this would come from the current half-cent sales tax program. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, is it proper for it to come from the current half-cent sales tax? I know that there are excess funds presently, and that goes through the JADO Finance Board. Is there action that needs to be taken by them for this, or?
Well, with the current program, we receive $1.5 million per year for county bridges. That comes to us, and then we put them towards county bridge projects. Our intent would be to use it from that $1.5 million allotment that we get each year.
And then, are there other questions regarding this item? Commissioner Archer?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And we had talked about earlier, there's about $500 million available in Tiger grants?
Yes.
Okay. But we didn't talk to anybody at Department of Transportation about our prospects or anything like that?
No, not directly, but
Okay.
I can assure you, they will not give you a definite answer of you have X percentage chance of getting it. They just say it's,
Well, yeah,
basically their pat answer is, it's very competitive.
Okay.
And it is very competitive.
And I believe that, but I always think it's a good idea to talk to the people that are actually going to be doing the work. Anyway, this is going to really have to be a fast track. I mean, if we're talking about June 5th
Mhm.
deadline, we're going to have to really move quickly on getting it done. I'm wondering if that's possible with vendors out there.
Well, that will be some of the discussion we'll have to
Okay.
have with them.
Okay.
You know, because they know, and I've actually had contact with some vendors who do this type of
Okay.
work.
Okay.
So they know it's out there. I mean, the program wasn't, they said it was coming, but they didn't announce it officially until just a few weeks ago, that they're, maybe even 2 to 3 weeks ago, that they were gonna start actually taking applications.
Okay.
So, but you're right, it is quick turnaround, and that's one reason why we're asking for assistance, because of that.
And
Yes, Commissioner Archer?
I would just, one more, and thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a intent to file notice that we had to do, and I assume
Yes, a
we
pre-application
did
we did,
that on a
and-
timely fashion.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
And I will, it was an online application, and I believe we should be able to print that out, so I will
Okay.
get copies of that. But
Okay.
we did do and we worked, actually, Mr. Flanagan and myself, worked with Ms. Griner to format or put in the information.
Okay.
So that has been done.
Thank you,
Tom?
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Tom, it's your understanding that there are firms or organizations that specialize in these Tiger grants, and so there's some companies that you've already, or
Mhm.
organizations you've already spoken to that have worked with bodies regarding the Tiger grant, so we're not entering into this as completely unknowledgeable or naive.
Right.
We've spoken with other groups that have gone through this process.
Yes, I have, I've gotten samples of applications from the Mid-America Regional Council out of the Kansas City area. They've sent me a couple of samples, and then also Kansas City, Missouri, one of theirs, successful applications, albeit, so we've seen the level of the detail and amount of work that goes into successful applications. So yes, we have that kind of information, and then I've had some communication here this week with a firm claiming to have been successful on several applications. I haven't spoken to them directly, just a little bit of email correspondence, but that would be a firm that we would seek out, see what they have to say.
And again, just to make sure that we're clear, when Senator Moran had the opportunity to question the Director of the United States Department of Transportation, the Director specifically suggested to Senator Moran that Shawnee County explore this Tiger grant application. So this
Right.
is really at the direction of the Director of the United States Department of Transportation.
Correct. And also, I've had some communications with staff member of Representative Jenkins, and they have seen what's going on, and they are actually in the process of trying to get a joint letter from all our federal delegates in support of this project. Representative Jenkins is one direct letter, but they're trying to get senators and all other representatives to, I guess, do a joint letter. I'm not exactly sure how they would do that, but they have offered that and are in the process of doing that. So that can only be helpful.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bueller for approval, seconded by Commissioner Archer. Before we depart on the issue, Tom, can you please bring back this process where we stand as the application is made or not made, and where we stand? Also, I would just ask that you share that with Senator Moran, Representative Jenkins as our representatives.
Sure.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller for approval, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item D, Health Agency. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill one finance officer position at a salary, including benefits, of $73,167, and approval to fill any subsequent positions that result from filling this position.
Morning, Commissioners. Allison Alejos, Health Agency. We're requesting permission to fill the finance officer position. This is a very important position on our agency. They have the responsibility for managing all financial operations. They are also in charge of the medical billing office that we have for both the local health department and the community health center. Also, they are in charge of purchasing and payroll. There are a variety of tasks that are performed by this, and they're stated in the memo, and just to highlight a few of them, they are certainly responsible for helping us prepare the annual budget for the agency. They're monitoring our accounts receivable and payables that come in. They coordinate any kind of submissions for grants and things of that nature, affidavits, monthly reporting. They do policy and procedure development. The list goes on and on. This is a position that is paid primarily through tax allocation and supports, again, both sides of the house, being the community health center and the local health department. We do have a $12 million budget, over $12 million budget, and that's divided pretty much 50-50 between both the community health center and the local health department. And it's a very critical time as we're moving to look for new locations, as we're moving to separate and to be two separate entities. There's a lot of critical things that we're working on at this point in time. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions regarding this item? Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make a motion to defer for 2 weeks to May 21st, 2015, consideration of this request. There's just a lot of moving parts right now. We have, a plan was just put on my desk for force management and plan for the health agency. We're looking at force levels for the county. And also, I'd like to know how this is going to mesh with the Grace Med moving forward. And we've got an interim HR director. There are a lot of things, and I just I think there's a lot of things for me to look at before I can make a decision on whether to approve or disapprove this request. So that would be a motion to defer for 2 weeks until May 21st, 2015.
I'll second. Motion by Commissioner Archer for referral.
One question though.
Yes, Commissioner Wheeler.
Allison, who's filling this role right now then, just as far as your functions and?
There are certain responsibilities that we can try to assign out within our own workforce. It's not going to be a complete ability to put everything over onto another person. So we've got some key elements that we're going to go ahead and try to reassign for the time being until we can hopefully get somebody in this position.
Because if it's fine if we defer it a couple weeks, but knowing then that puts us further and further into summer and hiring someone, so. But as long as you feel that that you can handle the work.
I think I'm
short-term.
comfortable with deferring it and trying to answer some questions of the commission.
Good.
All right.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to defer till May 21st, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. The item's deferred to May
Thank you.
21. Thank you. Next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of contract C-184, 2015 with the India Association of Topeka and Shawnee County, setting out the responsibilities for the operation of the India Festival to be held August 28th and 29th, 2015 at the Big Gage Shelter House in Gage Park, with expenses to the county of $1,893 and revenue to the Parks and Recreation Foundation of $1,260.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. At first glance, this probably looks like a special event contract that you've seen many of coming down here, but this really is quite a change because we've been doing this similar thing for all the special events at Lake Shawnee for a couple of years. That process has changed since we've implemented the master plan, but there are several associations, and I want to commend John Bell for taking on this hard project. You've heard about his successes with the train and the carousel, but going into different groups that have been really all they had to do before was to say we were going to be in Gage Park. And when you have 10 or 15,000 people coming to that event, plus 10 or 15,000 other people, we've had to really both the master plan and me wanted to really up what we had, our responsibilities, that we need to know who's there, if there's roads being closed, are there going to be enough portable restrooms, is there going to be parking available. So sitting down with this group and several others that will come in front of you hasn't been easy if they've been getting it for free for a long time to start charging them. But this is and you can see on there, the expenses to the county. We're still refining our true cost to provide these to the public, but we're getting closer and closer every time we have one of these events. John Bell is here, and if you have any specific questions about this event, he'd be happy to answer.
John, I think I'd just take a moment and point out, if it costs us $1,893, but we receive directly a return of $1,260, there's still a $300 loss. But the benefit now is we're having that money go to the foundation, which is reinvesting directly back into our parks and recreation.
Yes, and that's just, I'd also just say that that's just a start. In the past, they had paid zero for this same event. It's mostly my philosophy, but when we begin to underwrite these, you'll see that it's a great event, and all of them are, and they have charitable organizations that they give to. But I don't think Shawnee County Parks and Rec ought to be in the position to pick which charities are getting subsidized. So we need to cover our true costs, and also we're a 501c3 through our foundation as well. So getting the vast majority of our true costs recovered this first year, I think, is a great success on John Bell's part.
And when we talk about the foundation recently committed to $100,000 for the sound wall
Minimum.
at the ward meet.
Mhm.
So we see the foundation reinvesting back into our community and back into our Parks and Rec system.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that you'll find that that's just a start.
Any other questions regarding this item?
Motion to approve the contract.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Archer for approval of the contract,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed? It passes 3-0. Next item.
Number 2, presentation regarding the Parks and Recreation Revenue Revolving Fund.
Commissioners, when we came back before you in, I think it was in December of last year, one of the suggestions from our master plan to move forward was to create revolving funds in which the user fees pay off the operating costs for those. We came down with the help of Betty Griner, developed what we thought would be a good pilot program, and that was with the golf. We put Lake Shawnee and Cypress Ridge golf courses in the revolving fund. We did not put Forbes in the revolving fund. When we did that, I believe it was Commissioner Archer that asked when we did that is if we could come back and give some periodic updates to how it was progressing as we were going along. It was a dramatic change to the way we did things. I spoke briefly about John Bell and his master plan success, but this is a huge master plan success right here. I know it's premature. We've only been into it 4 months, but I wanted them to come up here and explain some of this to you, where we stand now on this. As you're getting to, not only did we consolidate the departments, but the master plan is a dramatic change of thinking for all 100 employees. I want to really commend Austin and Kerry Golden, who are here to speak to you today, for taking this leap, stepping out there, things like foot golf, things like restructuring Forbes Golf Course. They've taken really the lead in Parks and Recreation of implementing the master plan and making us a lot more financially sustainable going into the future. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to Kerry and Austin to make a brief presentation to you on the revolving fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kerry Golden, Director of Golf, Shawnee County Parks and Rec.
Thanks.
Thumbs up, Betty. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank Austin Tillman for helping with this presentation. He's gathered a lot of the information we need from the point-of-sale system that we currently have at all of our golf courses. And thanks, John, for helping me out on this. Beginning the Home Rule Resolution number 2014-7 was adopted last December. A couple points are that the user fees that are generated within the golf division are used to help offset the operating cost. And also, as John mentioned, the department this is kept separate from the tax general fund. Slide number 1, what we wanted to do is gather a little bit of history and how we've obtained our numbers. As far as the first slide indicates, the number of rounds played in the gold at Lake Shawnee and the green at Cypress Ridge. You notice in 2012, Cypress Ridge was dramatically down. That's when we had consolidated. At that time at Cypress Ridge, we were in the process of completing the irrigation system, and we think those numbers were slightly down also because of the change in management. We lost a few of the outings that year, but as you notice in 2013 and 2014, we have rebounded and gaining some of those customers back. Also, a slight decline at Lake Shawnee in rounds played in 2013 and 2014, and hopefully this slide will give you an idea why that occurred. 2012, this slide here is we're tracking the number of days we're calling the golf course being closed. That number we have changed. We've gone ahead and said any less than 10 rounds, 10 or less rounds, we would constitute as a weather day of the golf course being closed. 2012, it was a great year. We had a total of 29 days lost to weather. And as indicated in the previous slide, we were down in rounds, or we're down in revenue at Lake Shawnee and Lake Shawnee for 2013, 2014, and this is a direct correlation to the weather. This year, we've started off really pretty well, all in all. This indication, the average of revenues that we have here in green is the years 2012 through 2014. Kind of create a baseline, I guess, if you will. Lake Shawnee revenue in the month of January, February, and March, we are above averages. The numbers are there at the bottom, indicating those. Pretty much same thing for Cypress Ridge. As far as revenues generated, we were slightly down in January, up in February, and up in March. This right here is a combined. Also, as you'll notice, obviously, we're starting to get into the peak season as far as the average revenue, so we're at that point right now. But combined revenue between Lake Shawnee and Cypress, we are above average based on the previous three years. This slide is the one that Austin handed out. I apologize for not getting that in on his presentation, but you have before you. We think the increases that we're seeing right now, revenues based on the annual pass and new annual pass program that Austin's implemented, that involves all 3 golf courses. You'll see that Lake Shawnee, our annual pass revenue is up dramatically, and the same is for Cypress Ridge as well. I have now, I'm going to back up one minute. When I talked about revenues generated for either golf facility, I have a report from May 1st, last Friday, May 1st, 2nd, and May 3rd. And between Lake Shawnee and Cypress Ridge, we had several large outings. And those 3 days, we generated a little over $26,000 just in 3 days of revenue for the golf courses. A point being is Mother Nature obviously cooperated with us. We were able to get those events in, but that's a pretty substantial amount of revenue for Shawnee County that we generated this past weekend with the outings that we had. Well, one slide on the revenues and expenses as of April 24th. Right now, we are slightly below, our revenue is slightly below expenses at about $5,800, I believe what that equates to. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Questions regarding the presentation?
I'd just like to thank you for the report and keeping us informed of what's going on in this pilot project. And I like reports like this that are easy to understand and communicate information. Ever since Betty came on board and started those, I think everybody's following suit, and it's appreciated. I will say this is the first time I've ever seen Austin with a tie on, and I've still never seen Kerry with a tie on. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to add just a couple quick points there. I know Kerry mentioned them, but I'd really like to highlight them. He started to talk about just this past weekend alone and how weather dependent this is. A rain that would have set in over the entire weekend last weekend would have affected these numbers by $26,000. So that's huge. That's one of the scary things for us going into this. As he also said, we're a couple $1,000s below breaking even right now. But all of the big months that are coming are the ones that we anticipate building up enough that we can carry over till next spring. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was, I think and you can tell by the rounds closed, it's not necessarily the horrible weather days, but there can be days that it's too windy. There can be days that it's cold and never really warms up. That technically you wouldn't think it was a weather day that we had this spring, and we're really not having that good of weather this spring, even though I think everybody would think that we had a terrific spring. Nothing like we had in 2012. So.
Last question. I don't play golf, so help me with this. You talked about the annual pass revenue and how that has made a significant impact. So give me an example of you went out to play a round of golf and you just you paid for that round, right? So if you have a pass, how does that work?
So basically you pay for it up front. We actually have 2 options now with our annual passes. We have a monthly option, which is still a year contract, or a yearly option they can pay all up front. With the new program, we've had approximately 100 people sign up, new customers sign up for annual passes. So about 40 of them have taken advantage of the monthly portion. So each month we're going to see an increase in what we usually take in as far as revenue goes. I'm not sure if that answers your
Okay,
question
no,
or
that
not,
does.
but
And so anybody who's wanting to purchase those can go on the website and purchase those, correct?
not on the website, but they can look at prices on there.
They
They
can
can come
look,
into
okay.
either golf shop and they can get signed up and
But
we'll
they have to
issue
call.
them
Okay.
annual pass cards.
Okay. And do we have that same, we don't have that same option with pools, correct, John? Maybe not yet?
We don't have that for pools yet. This has been a project in progress, these annual passes. Might have even before you came on as the commission. One way a golf course can get upside down real quick is to have too many annual passes.
Yeah.
For instance, we looked back, and I can't even remember what year it was, maybe 2002, 2003, and we would go through on a holiday or a Saturday by figuring up how much the annual pass is actually paid per round that they use the golf course versus somebody off the street. They were averaging at that time around $6 a round of golf for an annual pass, where the daily person was paying around $20 a round of golf. So we would go through on a holiday or a weekend up until noon, 1 o'clock, when everybody was actually not giving us money because they'd already given it to us before, but the value was $6 for that round of golf, and we were turning away the people who were wanting to pay us $20 a round of golf. So we kind of had to really monitor that. I could see that same issue happening with aquatic pools, so I'd want to manage that somehow, to make sure that, especially on weekends and holidays or higher use times, we're getting the most we can out of those operations. Did that answer your question or go too far?
I think it's key to note that this is a pilot project for the revolving fund.
Yes, it is.
And we're taking the money that we generate and investing it back into golf so that we can identify and key what is the subsidy amount to Shawnee County for golf with Cypress Ridge and with Lake Shawnee. And at this point, the Shawnee County taxpayers are subsidizing a little over $5,000.
Correct.
However, we anticipate that as summer progresses, that number will change.
Correct.
Which it goes to the key question, does Shawnee County taxpayers subsidize golf, or does golf pay for itself? And we'll know that in a very short order.
I think for this year, I already know. I had anticipated as we sat down that somewhere around July or end of July or the first part of August was that time we were going to break even. As you can tell, we might tomorrow or the next day if we have a really nice day.
Right. But now, John, as we progress forward, would we want to see this same sort of revolving fund and identified for pools or for camps, so that as we look at what is our cost of business, and we know, is this a program that is paying for itself, not paying for itself, it's not paying for itself, are the Shawnee County subsidizing it because maybe for our summer programs for day camps, kids would not have been able to afford the true cost. And so there's a benefit, a societal benefit in subsidizing.
Yeah, I think there are probably different categories. We can put them all in. And the master plan kind of outlines that very well for us. But overall speaking, if you're getting an individual benefit for it, if Commissioner Archer is enjoying that one round of golf, I shouldn't use that because he gets kind of angry when he's out there sometimes. If Commissioner Bueller is out there playing that round of golf, she's the one that's getting the benefit from that round of golf. The taxpayers should not subsidize that. The same with the vast majority of our summer camps. But there are parts of the town in which that doesn't work. So I think you need to. But if we track the true cost, if we put all of these financials together for you, then we're not in a situation where we're keeping the price low to everybody for the few who can't afford to. We're a lot more strategic in the way we set our prices.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item F, Commission, number 1, consider appointment to the Washburn Board of Regents.
This is an item that has come before the commission. We are at a point to where the Shawnee County Commission has the ability to appoint one person to serve on the Washburn Board of Regents. This serves on a 4-year term. The requirements are that they must reside in the county outside of the city of Topeka, and we did take a period to take applicants for that process. The pleasure of the commission at this point. Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Terry Beck to the Washburn Board of Regents. Mr. Beck is a Washburn Law School grad. He is deeply committed to Washburn University. He is a respected professional and a leader in his profession. He's a leader in his church, and he has tirelessly volunteered in our community. So I'm proud to nominate Mr. Beck to serve at the Washburn Board of Regents. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll make a second to that motion. I too have known Mr. Beck for many, many years. Mr. Beck he's won many awards within the community for his professionalism and his work with the church organizations, and as Commissioner Archer indicated, he is a leader in the community and has given tirelessly to the community, as well as being a proud graduate of both Washburn and in helping with its institution. Is there other discussion regarding the item?
I won't be supporting those motions. I'll be voting against that, not in any reflection against Mr. Beck, because he has been willing to serve. He's very qualified. But I believe our current person, Pam O'Toole, has been very involved in the board. I've received numerous letters in support of her continuing on the board, and it's her first term. And usually, if you get somebody to have their first term and then be willing and have the knowledge to then serve a second term, again, I think the advances that Washburn University is in direct relation to their board, and so it's unfortunate that I don't hear support, because she has been very receptive, very responsive to not only the commission but then to the community and to the Washburn community. So it's unfortunate.
I would like to say, though, I do appreciate Ms. Pam O'Toole taking the time to commit to the last 4 years and to recognize her service to the community for the Washburn Board of Regents. There's a motion by Commissioner Archer to nominate Terry Beck to serve on the Washburn Board of Regents. That motion has been seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of that motion say aye. Opposed?
No.
The motion passes 2-1 with Commissioner Bueller dissenting. Next item.
Administrative communications.
Is there any person that wanting to speak to Washburn or to the board at this point?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. As chair for this year's Shawnee County Baseball Hall of Fame, we will be holding a press conference next Wednesday, May 13th at 10 a.m. at the Bettis Complex. You're all welcome to attend, and if you'd like to speak, that'd be awesome also. We'll be announcing this year's inductees. The actual ceremony will be July 13th, Monday, July 13th at 6 o'clock at the Bettis Family Sports Complex. So just wanted to make that announcement.
Thank you. Any other items for administrative communication?
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Health Agency, and I wanted to provide an update of some of the safety net activities that have taken place. If you recall, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, I told you that we were waiting for notification as to what process we would need to follow, and it could be either writing a huge grant, very similar to the Tiger Grant application, or following a successor and interest process, which we understand would be much simpler. And we did receive notification that we should be able to follow the successor and interest process. So that was wonderful news. We will be drafting a letter that will need to be signed by the commission chair as well as representatives from Grace Med, noting that this is the process we plan to move forward with, and so we'll be working on getting that letter ready in the near future so that we can notify the feds of what the intent is. So I just wanted you to have that update.
That's great news. I know that we had received conflicting information as to which route to proceed, and so now we have a unified,
Yes,
the right direction.
correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Dustin Nichols, Emergency Management. Earlier in the week, we did a non-standard test on one of our sirens at the Expo Center, and I just wanted to report to you that it is functional. There's a little software issue we think it is in the report back, but when we send the message out to get the thing to sound off, it's working. So I just wanted to catch up on that. And also, we got some weather coming in this weekend. Sorry, John, golf thing, I get it. But keep an eye on it. I'm sure there's some time to get a round or two in, and but especially for Sunday, Mother's Day, we know there's picnics and stuff. So please pay attention to the weather and be careful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. Just another reminder, taxes are due on May the 10th, which is on Sunday. Any payment that's postmarked or received by us by May the 11th on Monday, we will process without penalty or interest. A reminder of how you can pay. You can pay at the courthouse by cash, check, credit card, debit card. You can also pay online. Just go to the Shawnee County website and follow the links. In addition, if you're paying by check, you can drop that check at the Motor Vehicle Annex on Wanamaker. And a reminder, we do have an annex in Rossville now, and you can pay in Rossville on Monday. And I'm pleased to announce that the clerk in Rossville, if you're paying by check, will accept that today and tomorrow and hold it for us on Monday. And so, any questions?
Oh, no. Questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items to come before the board for administrative communications? All right, next item. Well, actually, commissioners, anything? Commissioner
No,
Archer?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
Executive session?
There is not a need for an executive session today. We are adjourned.
I heard your pastor's